made your mind up that pandemic or not, you are going to be living your best travel life like it's golden this year? I know I have. So where we going to go though? If you don't know, I got you. In this video, I am going to show you 3 sites that you can use to find the most current travel restrictions for any country so you can figure out exactly where you can go this year. I'm Inez, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel where I help you find the time, the money, and the strategy to make your dreams of Black travel a reality, child. I have been to over 15 countries across 5 continents, and I have been planning group trips and solo trips since 2012. So no matter where you are in your travel journey, I can help you navigate the next steps to stay tripping. So if you want to know the sites that you can use to get into these Black travel streets, keep watching. So in my last video, I talked about 10 countries that have slim to no travel restrictions in the Caribbean and Central America. However, because travel restrictions change so often these days, I thought that it would be a good idea just to share with you the sites that I use to find the information in that video. However, I would suggest if you're planning a trip this year to make sure that you are looking up the updated travel restrictions at least monthly before you get to your trip. And the closer that you get to your trip, make sure that you double check the government site to make sure that whatever site that you're using has the most accurate and the most current information. I'm gonna just take you through the interfaces on the computer so that you're familiar with them and you know how to use them when it comes time to plan your trip. All right, let's go. Okay, so the first site we're going to look at is one of the sites that I used to find the information in the previous video, and that is Kayak.com. So once you go to Kayak, you're going to click over here and then you go to travel restrictions, which is a new feature from Kayak. Kayak is one of the best flight aggregators. And so it's a really great place to be able to see what are the country specific entry requirements that are required dependent upon what country you are traveling from. You'll see here it says select your origin to view the restrictions, right? I would be traveling from the United States, but if you're traveling from a different country, you want to select that country because, of course, the restrictions are based on where you are from. But you'll see that Kayak has this map, and very easily you see there are some countries that are red, some countries that are orange, some countries that are green, right? The green countries are completely open. That means they have limited to no restrictions, similar to the ones I discussed in my video previously. The orange ones have certain restrictions, whether it be a test or there are specific things that vaccinated travelers can do, specific things that unvaccinated travelers can do. And then the red ones are just completely closed. So you can use this site to really get an understanding of the border status, the vaccine requirements, the testing requirements, and the quarantine requirements for certain countries. So again, you have your origin selected here. Let's select the ones that I selected in the previous video. So that would be the Caribbean and Central America. So let's just do the Caribbean first. You can select between a filter that determines whether you see countries that are only for vaccinated travelers, or if you want ones with open borders, no quarantine, or no COVID tests. So for instance, if I was to select no quarantine, it would show me countries that do not require quarantine. And you'll see the Dominican Republic is wide open. But for instance, for a country like Aruba, it's open with restrictions. So you can see how many people are actually vaccinated. And you'll see this says most visitors from the United States can come in regardless of vaccination status. So let's click on Aruba and go to a more detailed page where it gives you the specifics on the outgoing travel to Aruba, as well as you'll see a little bit later the incoming travel back to the United States, right? So this tells you what PCR test is required and how many hours ahead of time you need to take it. It gives you information about specifically around quarantine. Visitors from the US are not required to quarantine. And then additional details and exceptions that may be specific to the country will show you the cards, the documents that you need. And then you also can see what are the return restrictions when you're trying to go back to your country. So this is going to be super helpful if you are coming back to the United States and you want to see if there are specific updates around what is required in order to re-enter the United States. Even the documentation for that. As you can see here, you can determine if there are masks required. A lot of good information here on Kayak per country, and it really is helpful for you to be able to come in, check, and see what are the new restrictions that are required for your specific country. The next site that I used is Sherpa, SHERPA. It's a site that I had never heard of, but it has a really great interface as well. It's a guide to getting the right travel documentation, really, and understanding the up-to-date travel requirements for the destination that you're going to. Typically, it said that they update this information within a few hours of the government announcements, which is really good to know, because that way you know that you have something that is really current. It works similar to a flight engine, which is what I really like. So for instance, if I say I'm going from Philadelphia International and I'm going to, let's say, Aruba, or let's say Belize. And let's say I'm going now. So I want to see the restrictions specific to that country. The cool thing I like is that they have these quick facts up at the top. Right? You can see right offhand, you need a COVID test. There's no quarantine. There's other documents that you're going to need, and you don't need a visa. So that's one of the cool features of the Sherpa site. And as you saw on the previous page, it has a map that's similar to Kayak. So if you want to search via the map, you can do that too. But I found it just easier to look up specific countries that you're trying to go to. But you can see it has both similar to Kayak departure and return requirements. And you can see very easily detailed, not a whole lot of reading here, about what are the restrictions specific around quarantine, COVID testing, visa requirements, forms and documents, and any types of additional information as well. Let me know in the comments if this video is helping you feel a little bit more confident that you can figure out where to go by typing tripping in the comments. All right, so the next site is not really a site, it's more of a Google search. And I'm the Google search queen, so I can help you do the things. Anytime you're looking for very specific requirements that are based on the most current information from a government, Google U.S. Embassy in the country name COVID-19. So you'll see in the Google search bar right here, U.S. Embassy in Belize COVID-19, right? Immediately, the very first result is going to come up, and it's going to be the information on the U.S. Embassy that's in that country. You're going to go to a site that looks like this. For every country, the site looks like this. It's just at the top, it looks different. I mean, it'll have a different name for the country. You can scroll through this and read up on all of the changes that have happened. You'll see that this is most updated as of December 7th, 2021. And it shows stuff that's effective November 8th, 2021, right? However, usually I will take a look at the country specific information and I'll scroll down to see, is a PCR test required? So under COVID-19 testing, I'll be able to determine if a PCR test is required. I also will look for entry requirements. Keep scrolling. You'll see here his vaccination information. Has the government of Belize approved the COVID-19 vaccine? Yes. So, but yeah, here it is. Entry requirements, entry and exit requirements. So this is really good to look at as a point to determine, all right, is this a place that I can go to? Yes, U.S. citizens can enter. Yes, you need a COVID test. There are health screenings at the airport, and you want to visit the Belize Tourism Bureau for the latest information, right? I love the fact that this site has movement restrictions, because a lot of times sites just have whether or not you're quarantined or whether or not you can get in, but you really want to know how you can move in the country when you get there too. So I love that the embassy sites always have the move restrictions around curfews and restrictions on travel on the interstate and the roads and restaurants and that type of stuff too. And then, of course, you have the quarantine information and transportation updates. So this is a site that I would suggest that you use the closer that you get to your travels, so that you know this is the most current information from the government in that country. All right, y'all, that's it. That's all. I hope this video has helped you to figure out where you can go and the sites you can use to track your travel restrictions all the way up until your trip. I put the links for the 2 sites that I shared in the description below, and I also put a link to an example Google search for an embassy for you to use as well. Make sure that you use these links to look up the information you need for the trips that you're planning this year, and then let me know if there's any other obstacles that you're running into in planning travel in a post-pandemic world. If you're somebody who's feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling stuck, with making travel happen, or with finding the time, the money, or the strategy to make travel happen in this post-pandemic world, send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to have you enter to win a free coaching session with me. If you're somebody who's like, I'm not even trying to travel internationally, I'm gonna just travel in these here United States, I got you. Make sure you go to the description below and download my digital cheat sheet called Finding Big Fun. It has all of the details of the things that I use to find the communities, the hashtags, the playlists, and the sites to add adventure to your life, even in a pandemic. So make sure you go check that out in the link in the description below. Also, if you want to see more of me finding the time, the money, and the strategy to make travel happen in my life, go follow me on Instagram at International Inez. Lastly, if you love this video, then I know you are one of my people. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can learn more about transforming your life through travel and making your dreams of Black travel a reality. And until we meet again, stay tripping.